What's up, guys? Roman from RNS Entertainment here to do an epic history video on the Children of the Forest. Now, we got to see one of these creatures in the season finale of season 4, so a lot of people are wondering what was going on with that. It was using a lot of crazy magic. It led Bran to the Three-Eyed Raven, and a lot of people wanted to know what the deal with the Children of the Forest is. I'm going to go over the entire history of these creatures, where they came from, everything we know about them, everything you need to know about them. And yeah, let's do it. The Children of the Forest are a non-human race that were the original inhabitants of Westeros, way before any humans came there, before the arrival of the first men, over 12,000 years ago. It's unknown how long they were there, and if they were the only race that ever inhabited Westeros before men, but we know the giants were also there for some period of time. The giants called the children little squirrel people, because the children are a very small race. The largest child is the size of a large human child. They live longer than people, but they don't reproduce nearly as often. There are a lot fewer of them. They didn't use metal, weave cloth, or build any cities or towns or marketplaces. They just lived off of the land. They used stone, trees, leaves, all of that to make clothing and tools, and they lived in caves and swamps, etc. They hunted and lived completely off the land. They had no books, no paper, no written language. They completely lived through their storytelling and their sense of community and connection to the land itself. They wielded obsidian weapons and bows in battle, and also had magic. We got to see some of that in the season finale. Some of the magical powers the children have were the ability to control animals, like warging, the ability to create beautiful, like perfect music, the ability to see the future, which is green sight, and the ability to speak to spirits or dead people. It said that the children were the ones who carved the faces onto the werewoods to keep watch over the woods. They believed that the trees were gods, and that when they died, they became part of the trees because they returned to the earth. The children were a lot smaller than normal men. They had acorn brown skin, which had paler spots like a deer. They had large ears that had super sensitive hearing, way stronger than a normal person's. They had unusually large eyes, like cat's eyes, that had almost perfect night vision. Like I said before, the children were the original inhabitants of Westeros, and about 12,000 years ago, the first men traveled over from Essos, which houses the free cities in current times, and they brought with them bronze weapons, leather shields, armors, the first horses to enter Westeros, and new gods. They traveled over a land bridge that used to be connected to Dorne in current day. The bridge was called the Arm of Dorne, and when they came over, they burned the Great Werewoods and declared war between them and the children, and tried to conquer Westeros. For almost 2,000 years, the children and the first men fought a war for dominance. The children used their magic to call a big tidal wave to shatter the land bridge that the first men had traveled over on, and so they had extremely strong magic, especially when they grouped up to channel it together. They even eventually tried to call down another tidal wave called the Hammer of the Waters to smash the neck, just like they smashed the Arm of Dorne, but something went wrong with their ritual and it didn't work. This ended up leading to a chain of events that led to a standstill between the two races, and they agreed to peaceful coexistence and signed what was called the Pact on the Isle of Faces, granting all of the forests to the children on all of the plains lands to humans. This pact lasted for 4,000 years before the others, also known as the White Walkers, invaded from the far north, bringing death and destruction to both races during an extended period of winter known as the Long Night. The first men and the Children of the Forest ended up teaming up, led by the last hero, to fight against the White Walkers in the Battle for the Dawn. Eventually, they drove the White Walkers back into the Lands of Always Winter, which we got to see in Season 4. After the long night, the First Men and the Children of the Forest didn't go back to war with each other. They had pretty peaceful times. And in these following years, the Children of the Forest began to eventually recede into the forest and further beyond the wall, just kind of drawing back from all of the culture of man. They still gave the Night's Watch 100 obsidian daggers every year, just in case the White Walkers ever came back. Also, during this time of peace, the Children of the Forest taught the worship of the old gods to the First Men, but the faith of the Seven ended up pretty much taking over most of humankind after the Andal invasion, which was another group of men traveling to Westeros. Over time, the Children of the Forest and the humans had frayed relations, and they became more and more distant until they completely ceased communication. By the time Aegon the Conqueror and the Targaryens showed up with their dragons, humans hadn't seen the Children of the Forest for thousands of years. Obviously, Bran running into a Child of the Forest in the season finale of Season 4 is a huge deal for the show. This is an entire race of creatures that everybody thought were extinct at this point. They've mentioned them a lot of times even in the show, and most people thought you'd never get to see one like a lot of the other creatures they mention, and we finally did. I like how they handled it in the show. It looked pretty much like what I had in mind. I'm not going to cover any of the events that happen with Bran and the Children of the Forest in the future, just because I'm not just going to spoil it from the books, and it may turn out a little differently in the show anyway, so I'll cover it as the episodes go out. But this pretty much wraps it up for my epic history video on the Children of the Forest. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for all things Game of Thrones, HBO, Starz, Netflix, DC, Marvel, Sons of Anarchy, and more. And yeah, take it easy, guys.